This is the iPhone Air, and it's unlike any phone you've ever seen. Well, kinda. I've been using Apple's thinnest iPhone for a few days now, and on the one hand, it's definitely one of the sleekest devices I've ever used, but on the other, there are some pretty weighty trade-offs. So let's get into it. This is All Things Mobile. Apple has officially joined the thin phone club with the iPhone Air, which is just 5.6 millimeters thick. Here's how that compares to the baseline iPhone 17, just so you get an idea. The iPhone Air costs $999 and replaces the iPhone Plus models. It joins the ranks of other thin phones like the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge and Z Fold 7, the Oppo Find N5, and the Honor Magic V5. The iPhone Air weighs only 165 grams, which really does feel airy. It gives off a very futuristic vibe when I'm typing on it because it's so sleek and I hardly feel it in my pocket or purse. For comparison, on the other end of the weight spectrum, the iPhone 17 Pro Max is 68 grams heavier than the iPhone Air. But what does that mean for durability? Can you take the iPhone Air out into the real world without worrying about something happening to it? Thankfully, yes, the iPhone Air does feel nice and sturdy. It has a titanium frame to keep it lightweight and durable. If I try to bend it, it doesn't really budge, which is assuring. Apple actually showed us a demo where it applied more than 130 pounds of force on the iPhone Air, and it came out unscathed. So I'm not too worried about it in my purse or in my pocket. Don't worry, there's an IP68 rating, so you don't have to worry about it getting wet. One of my favorite aspects of this phone is the 6.5-inch display, which honestly feels kind of perfect to me. It's that sweet spot between the size of the baseline iPhone 17 and the iPhone 17 Pro Max. So if you were a fan of the iPhone Plus models and are heartbroken that line is now extinct, the Air having a similar screen size should help to soften the blow. And at long last, Apple has extended that 120 Hz refresh rate across its entire lineup instead of just the Pro model. So I can use the always-on display on the Air and see all my notifications and live activities at a glance, which I am very happy about. I really like the Air's sleek, curved design here along the edges. It feels a bit smoother than the sharper corners on the S25 Edge. The front is made with Ceramic Shield 2, which Apple says is 3 times more scratch resistant, and the back has Ceramic Shield, which Apple says is 4 times more resistant to cracks. So far, no scuffs or scratches on those screens or on the back. There's one design element that's kind of a letdown, especially if you watch a lot of videos on your phone, but there isn't a speaker at the bottom, only one at the top, so the sound isn't as immersive. It's not a deal breaker, but for a nearly $1,000 phone, I would expect a little more. So in my right hand is the iPhone Air, and in my left hand is the iPhone 16 Pro Max. The Air has that 3000 nit peak brightness, while the 16 Pro Max has a 2000 nit peak brightness. The difference is that the Air also has an anti-reflective coating, so it's a little bit easier to see when you're outdoors. If you're somebody who does insist on slapping on a case, like, if you drop your phone into fountains every now and then, Apple does make this clear MagSafe case that is less than a millimeter thick, so even if you slap it on, it really doesn't add much bulk. Now let's talk about the camera, singular, because that's all you're going to get on the back here. Apple clearly had to scale back to achieve this sleeker build, so you have that one 48 megapixel camera here on the back that takes 1x and 2x telephoto images. I have to say I do miss having an ultra-wide camera, especially if I'm taking a picture of a landscape or any expansive setting. This is by no means a comparison video, but I can't help thinking about how the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge does have that ultra-wide lens, which helps it feel like less of a compromise. Still, I was impressed with how well the iPhone captured colors and nothing looked too shadowy. I love the vibrancy of the fruits on this platter, and this portrait of Jessie is nice and crisp. The background has that perfect blur. I wasn't disappointed by any of the shots that I took. There's also an 18 megapixel selfie camera with a feature called Center Stage, which can automatically switch from a portrait orientation to a landscape one without you having to rotate your phone, so everybody's in the frame. So with the Center Stage feature, if I'm taking a selfie, but then Patrick also wants to come in the photo, then it'll automatically recognize there's another person and make that shot wider. But I also want to show you what's in front of me. So I go into video, and then I go into dual capture, and then you can see that Jessie is in front of me here, also in this wonderful shot. Cool stuff. Center Stage also helps to stabilize your FaceTime videos, so as I'm very casually walking on this treadmill in my chunky boots and skirt, I can FaceTime Patrick and everything can look a little bit more steady.
Are you really working out? Because it's like, it looks like you're not working out at all.
I am working so hard right now. I'm like, I'm so appropriately dressed for this. The iPhone Air has a camera control button on the side here, which is actually kind of tricky to feel just because both the phone and the button are so thin, but it is great to have that so I can quickly launch the camera or tap into visual intelligence. I also like the more simplified design of the camera app in iOS 26. It looks a bit cleaner and less cluttered, so you can quickly access the most common controls like video or flash. The Photos app has also finally redeemed itself after that very contentious redesign in iOS 18, so tabs are back to quickly access your library and collections with all your folders. Now for the big looming question. What's the tea on battery life? Apple says the iPhone Air has all-day battery, but so far in my testing, I have definitely felt just how scaled back it is. I hope I don't run into the same problem I did yesterday. Oh no, my battery's about to die, but I'm not done with my review video yet. Patrick, engage MagSafe battery.
MagSafe engaged.
All right, let's continue. So I started my day at 100% at 7:45 a.m. after walking around, taking pictures, using the screen, texting. It is now 2:24 and it is at 44%, which is kind of tragic. Hi, this is Abrar from the future, and I'm happy to report that over the last couple days, the battery has surprisingly gotten its act together. On Saturday, when I wasn't working and sending endless emails and Slack messages and using my mobile hotspot, the battery went from 100% at 9:20 a.m. to still having 20% to spare by midnight, despite the fact that I was still endlessly binging TikTok videos and YouTube videos and streaming music and ordering DoorDash and all that good stuff. So that restored my faith that on at least less heavy usage days, the battery really can last me. Okay, back to the other bar. Now there is a key caveat here, and it's that the adaptive power feature in iOS 26 hasn't kicked in yet. This is supposed to help extend battery life by automatically adjusting your phone's performance based on how you're using it at that moment, according to Apple. So that could mean reducing the display's brightness or turning off some background activities. It could also activate low power mode. It takes about a week for adaptive power to kick in and understand your usage, so I haven't really had a chance to see that in action, but I hope it really does make a difference. The iPhone Air charges at 20 watts. In a 30-minute charging test, it reached 54% battery, and it took about an hour and a half to reach 100%. The iPhone Air is powered by an A19 Pro chip, which Apple calls its most power-efficient chip. Definitely handy for a phone as slim as the Air. You'll find iOS 26 on board, which introduces that cleaner liquid glass interface with clear controls. It does take a little bit of adjustment, but I actually like how simplified it all looks. You can make your app icons clear if you really want to lean into it, but I like to have a little bit of contrast and keep some color. There's also a spatial screen option for the lock screen that can make your wallpaper look kind of three-dimensional, which is pretty neat. You can jazz up your group chats with fun backgrounds and polls, and there's an option to filter text from unknown numbers and send them to a separate list. Live translations lets you talk in different languages across text, phone calls, and FaceTime calls.
Nós podemos falar em Portugal também, porque eu vivi em Portugal por 10 anos.
Now, I know at this point you may be wondering, what exactly is the appeal of a thinner iPhone, especially if you have to compromise on things like cameras and battery life. But I think there's a little bit of reframing that needs to happen to really understand the point of something like this. It's less about comparing the Air to other, perhaps more capable iPhone models, and more about recognizing that this is all about the form factor. The Air is designed to appeal to someone who wants a phone that feels refreshing and unlike anything they've ever used. It may not appeal to a pro photographer, but I don't think it's supposed to. That's what the Pro model phones are for. This really is one of those devices where once you hold it and use it, you can start to see the appeal of something so lightweight and sleek. That said, I do wish Apple gave us a bit more with the cameras and battery life, especially if it's charging around $1,000. But ultimately, this is a first-gen model, so it's not going to be perfect. Hopefully there are improvements with future versions, or maybe this is just the stepping stone until Apple releases a foldable phone, which it's rumored to do next year. But the fact that so many phone makers, not just Apple, are going all in on thin means there is a customer base for phones like this, even if it is a niche. Just like foldables, there are always going to be people who want something a little different in a world where so many phones look and feel the same, and they're willing to put up with the compromises. Personally, after using this phone for the last several days, I have gotten so used to how it feels in my hand and in my pocket that carrying anything else honestly feels like a brick. I really do miss the flexibility of having an ultra-wide camera because I take so many pictures and videos, but I'm still generally pleased with the photos that I've taken on this phone. And despite a rocky start, I'm pleasantly surprised with how well the battery is holding up, at least on on less heavy use days, given that slimmed down design, and I look forward to seeing how adaptive power can hopefully extend that lifespan even more. Because I do really enjoy using this phone, I just want to be able to use it for a little bit longer. But what do you think? Do you have your eye on the iPhone Air, or are the trade-offs just a little too big for you? Let us know in the comments, and while you're at it, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more on all things tech. Thanks for watching.